All right, let's get into our mailbag. It's the Friday mailbag. You can email info@davidpakman.com if you have a question, comment, concern, anything you want to demand a correction for. Occasionally, we will grab a comment from YouTube or sometimes Facebook or sometimes a tweet or whatever the case may be. Let's get right into it, as we often do, starting with some criticisms, which is fine. DL or Patrick, I don't know, wrote in and says Biden should be in jail. Family corrupt over 40 years. Where have you been? Maybe you haven't been around long enough. Please read all info on Biden's laptop. Both dad and son should be in prison for all their dealings with China, Ukraine, and other countries. They have made millions from money laundering. I know you know this, with a question mark. This is the type of person where there's not enough time between now and the election to talk sense into someone like this. So my advice from a voting standpoint is we just have to find 2 new voters to cancel out this guy's vote. I mean, one, I guess, to cancel it out, but then a second one to actually make some progress. I don't see how someone who is in such a fantasy world that their one contact with me is to tell me how everything about my perspective is wrong because it lacks the stuff from the Biden laptop, and Biden and Hunter should be in prison. That I don't think we have the time capacity to just argue and change these people's minds. If you think there's some way to fix these folks' brains, let me know. But I think it's much simpler to register people to vote and to cancel out their votes. Next message is from Kara. Kara wrote in and said, "You're a effing Nazi beta boy." Well, I'm Jewish, so I don't know what you mean by Nazi, but my family fled the Nazis. Kara goes on, "There are hundreds of millions of Trumpies who will make sure your voice is silenced on social media, as ours have been. Who the F are you?" Well, if you don't even know who I am, why is it important that hundreds of millions of Trumpies silence me? If I'm so insignificant that Kara has not heard of me, I don't know why anyone would need to waste any time silencing me. By the way, it's really interesting how the delusions seem to spread virally. And what I mean by that is recently Trump pulled this idea that there's hundreds of millions of MAGA people. At his last rally, Trump said something like, "Oh, there were the 75 million who voted for me, plus another 150 million probably." So Trump believes that there's 225 million Trumpists in the United States. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Number of adults in USA 2022. What are the number of adults? I actually can't find that. Anyway, the point is 225 million MAGATs is like, it's got to be close to every adult. I don't know what percentage of the population is under 18, but it's got to be 20% or more. Anyway, as usual, as is the case with these people, the numbers never add up. Thank you, Kara. I appreciate that. Okay, Mike wrote in again asking about these spam messages that he's getting. Mike says, "I've received this message a couple of times in response to comments made on Dave Pakman YouTube clips. Question is, scam or legit? I don't use WhatsApp, but I am curious." And it's one of these messages where the user has my picture as their profile picture, and it says, "Write me." I know that this is a disappointment to some in the audience. Some people will write to me and say, "David, I was so excited that you wanted to hear more from me about my view on, Hillary Clinton or whatever, that I tried writing you on WhatsApp like you told me." I am not asking anyone to text me or to WhatsApp me or anything. These are scammers. Report them to YouTube. We're doing everything we can to get this scourge, as Trump would like to say, off of YouTube. As far as I know, no one's been scammed so far, but eventually they will ask you for money. That's the scam. And at some point I'll do an expose, bigger picture on the full scam. But no, I'm not WhatsApping anybody. I'm not texting anybody. I don't want you to text or WhatsApp me. It is a scam. Do not fall for it. Jaden noticed an anomaly on our Social Blade page, which tracks our YouTube channel. Jaden said, David, sir, I was looking at the Social Blade for your YouTube channel, and I noticed it has a graph of your subscriber increases. I have tears in my eyes as I tell you that it appears that the machines have been dumping you subscribers of 10,000 every couple weeks. There are huge gaps and irregularities that cannot be explained. Please, sir, we need Pillow on the show so he can explain how the machines did this. Yeah, a few people have written to me and they said, David, is there a scam going on with your subscribers? Because you get none for days and then suddenly 10,000 in one day. Let me explain. On YouTube, once you get to 1 million subscribers, the algorithm shifts into tracking them in tens of thousands. So like when you look at our YouTube channel, it'll say 1.47 million subscribers. And then it'll go to 1.48. So it tracks them in 10,000 increments. When that is the case, Social Blade does the same thing. So in reality, we get like 600 subscribers a day, but it only updates now every 10,000. No scam going on. Check any channel above 1 million subscribers and you will see it's the same. Michael wrote in. Michael says, David, I sincerely want to thank you for the public service you do in showing the liars and hypocrites on your show. I think it's very necessary, but I can't bear to watch some of the outrageous clips you show, so I mute the sound and just listen to your commentary to learn what nonsense was said. You must have a great deal of self-control to be able to listen to Trump and the MAGAs day in and day out. Well, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I've talked about this before. There is a desensitization that happens when you do what I do, where because outrageous things happen so often, they start to seem less outrageous. And that's why it's good, number one, to take time away from this stuff. And number two, to talk to people from different places. So when I talk to family of mine from other countries, or even when foreign callers call in, or when I read articles about American politics from other countries, it's always good to have sort of your sensibilities reset because it's nuts here. This MAGA right-wing authoritarian wannabe fascist movement that is written about here by Michael, these people are genuinely dangerous, and it's also not typical. It's really not typical, and it's good to get that perspective from other countries. Daniel wrote in about Mike Pillow and says, David, do you really think it's appropriate to have Mike Lindell on your show again? After his manic episode on Facebook, it's clear Mike is unwell. Inviting him on again almost seems wrong, like we're making fun of someone who needs a doctor. Anyway, just a thought. Let me know what you think. Daniel from Indiana says, don't have Pillow on because he's mentally ill. I mean, I don't know that we know that. And honestly, probably like 20% of our guests are mentally ill by some definition. I don't know. I don't know what the standard should be. It's a tough one, but I'm willing to hear from people in the audience. Aaron wrote in and writes in about CNN's right turn. Aaron says, hi, David. I'm a progressive, possibly a little to your left on some issues, but I have to say that I'm not scandalized by CNN's decision to drop the big lie moniker, even though it's very clearly a big lie. Don't you agree that the term sounds quite editorialistic for a news segment? I'm not convinced that a commitment to more neutral language is, in fact, a turn to the right. No, listen, on the CNN right turn, it's no one thing. It's not, oh, we're dropping the big lie alone. It's a combination of things, including statements made by the new CEO or president, whatever he calls himself. The big lie thing is one element. Changes to staffing. It's a lot of different things. Recent comments from anchors. I would never make the case that just based on not using the term big lie anymore, CNN is now Fox News. That wouldn't be accurate. It's not what I believe. But go back to the segment I did on it, and it's a much bigger picture issue than that. Rodney wrote in about abortion and said, hello, should a registered or voting Republican be allowed to get an abortion in the United States? I get the point of this question. If you vote against abortion being legal by voting for elected officials who will try to make it illegal, should you be allowed to get an abortion? It is so outside of any legal framework to deny abortions based on how people vote that my opinion is, here's my thought, Rodney, okay? And I really appreciate the message. I get why you're asking the question. It's a losing direction to go in. Saying, okay, make abortions illegal for Republicans because they want it to be. We're almost as bad in saying deny a legal medical procedure to people, right? And so, no, I don't think that that's a good idea at all. Gabriella wrote in about Democrats, quote, winning, and she makes a good point. Gabriella says, hello, sir. My dad used to tell me when I would ask who's winning during any sports game, well, no one wins until the end. They're only ahead for now. I thought this might be relevant to your recent clip on Democrats leading across the country, albeit not by enough. They're ahead for now, but it's up to voters to help them win. 100% correct. And this is why every time we look at 2022 polling numbers, Senate forecast, House forecast, I always say, this is where we are right now. There are things not yet reflected in the polls. Everyone must vote. Everyone must vote. And I hope that you will. And we're starting to get down to the wire. If you have never voted before, at least Google voter registration deadline in your state and understand, when can you register? Can you register same day? It's very important to know that. And I hope every single one of you votes. All right, Monday, 9/19, David Pakman Show membership special. We're going to be blowing out memberships at rates never seen before at a huge discount. The theme is 9/19. That's the date. If you would like to be notified about this membership special, you need only get on my newsletter at davidpakman.com. We'll see you on the bonus show and back here on Monday.